Let's talk about the technology side of clinical trials and where you see things, you know, where you and I are speaking in June of 2020. This is like a time capsule for the future. Where do you see things a year from now, say?
Well, clearly, you know, all of us are trying to figure out what the lessons learned are in the COVID-19 environment. We have all research sites, CROs, technology companies, and regulators have all pivoted pretty strongly in order to keep trials up and running. And so we've seen enormous use of technology to accomplish that, starting with telemedicine, remote visits, and the like, moving to, we had been making good progress toward risk-based monitoring. But I think now we are actually moving in the direction of risk-based quality management. That is to say, building a risk-based approach into everything from trial design through execution, through data monitoring, et cetera, et cetera. And then beyond that, again, we have been making some progress toward decentralized trials using technologies to, among other things, lessen burdens on patients. You know, the average patient, the figure I've seen is that the average patient travels about 50 miles to get to a clinical research site. If we can reduce the number of visits to the clinical research site and use telemedicine and remote technologies in order to make things better, easier for the patient to participate, we think that will make participation easier. So we're moving in the direction of decentralized trials. I think the other thing that we are starting to move toward is really the use of real-world data and real-world evidence, so that we are tapping into, for instance, electronic health records. We're trying to begin to bring together the clinical care enterprise with the clinical research enterprise. Those have always existed in some ways in parallel, but never the twain shall meet. And I think what we would love to see is for the data that can be derived from clinical care, from patient visits to doctors, be used as part of clinical research. And again, that's actually that's a movement that requires adjustments by research sites, by CROs and technology companies, and by regulators. And again, what's been interesting now is that COVID-19 has been forcing a lot of this on us. I think it's going to continue. I think we will really use lessons learned, and in some ways make the changes to the enterprise that we were moving in the direction of, but with some luck, we really accelerated the change in paradigm.